that new purple light.
Can't beat us, join us, please bring your coinage. We sink 3-pointers, money shots, all net, all vets. Bumps we not, jet skiing in them sunny spots. With women edible like gummy drops. Dummy stop, dummy stop. No weapon form can intercept the storm. Once my intellect is on, I'm projecting on magnetic fields and interact with blacks with athletic bills. I'm all about growth and development like residents of Ebbets Fields. Not to choose between woo and chew. We wanna line them colors up like a Rubik's Cube and fade to black, yeah, the truest hue. When you say the black man is God, who you alluded to? The usual, Clarence 13X, a worthy guess. The words expressed come from the word in flesh. Elijah M, the NOI versus Leviathan. Messiah sent from the heavenly branches. 7 P's from since G-Dub cut down the cherry tree. In the wilderness of North America, and we flossing death and forced aggression, or forced perception, forced protection, or forced confessions. It's all a lesson.
The sorcerers from Corsica, killer tonics, sticks and drums like the Philharmonic Orchestra. You niggas still playing harmonicas from officers. Fabric softener, jive turkeys popping 5 perkies, playing with keys, the Scotch storage type. For that soft white, we could've caught life, just being forthright. First class on my 4th flight, popping out like Fortnite. Every night we lit like Porsche lights. The meek shall inherit the earth, oh yeah, the scorched type. And these niggas, they some hoes in these streets. Me, I'm 10 toes in these streets. They lost their souls, niggas got holes in their feet. Shit, I'm just worried about the craft and how to perfect it. Not worried about the craft, yeah, that's out of perspectives. Focus on the chip like I'm Robert Kraft, and then how to protect it. It's the waves of the oceans. Get to the money, nigga, save your emotion. Descendant of the slaves in the graves in the oceans. Mastermind that the waves is in motions. These niggas, they addicted to the folly, addicted to that molly. Making me a movie, them sticks made of holly. I'm Dr. Manhattan, sitting on top of Manhattan. When I get all 5 rings, snap my fingers and pop up on satin. Dressed in all black, yeah, drop top the Phantom. Blast.
TV.
Can't beat us, join us, please bring your coinage. We sink 3-pointers, money shots, all net, all vets. Bumps we not, jet skiing in them sunny spots. With women edible like gummy drops. Dummy stop, dummy stop. No weapon form can intercept the storm. Once my intellect is on, I'm projecting on magnetic fields and interact with blacks with athletic bills. I'm all about growth and development like residents of Ebbets Fields. Not to choose between woo and chew. We wanna line them colors up like a Rubik's Cube and fade to black, yeah, the truest hue. When you say the black man is God, who you alluded to? The usual, Clarence 13X, a worthy guess. The words expressed come from the word in flesh. Elijah M, the NOI versus Leviathan. Messiah sent from the heavenly branches. 7 P's from since G-Dub cut down the cherry tree. In the wilderness of North America, and we flossing death and forced aggression, or forced perception, forced protection, or forced confessions. It's all a lesson.
The sorcerers from Corsica, killer tonics, sticks and drums like the Philharmonic Orchestra. You niggas still playing harmonicas from officers. Fabric softener, jive turkeys popping 5 perkies, playing with keys, the Scotch storage type. For that soft white, we could've caught life, just being forthright. First class on my 4th flight, popping out like Fortnite. Every night we lit like Porsche lights. The meek shall inherit the earth, oh yeah, the scorched type. And these niggas, they some hoes in these streets. Me, I'm 10 toes in these streets. They lost their souls, niggas got holes in their feet. Shit, I'm just worried about the craft and how to perfect it. Not worried about the craft, yeah, that's out of perspectives. Focus on the chip like I'm Robert Kraft, and then how to protect it. It's the waves of the oceans. Get to the money, nigga, save your emotion. Descended of the slaves in the graves in the oceans. Mastermind that the waves is in motions. These niggas, they addicted to the folly, addicted to that molly. Making me a movie, them sticks made of holly. I'm Dr. Manhattan, sitting on top of Manhattan. When I get all 5 rings, snap my fingers and pop up on satin. Dressed in all black, yeah, drop top the Phantom. Best.
Crumb TV.
Peace to the family, peace to you and yours. Peace to the family, peace to you and yours. Let us know how we sounding on the sound. How are we sounding on the sound? Peace, love, and light to the family. Peace to you and yours. Welcome to another episode of Third Eye Thursdays. You are now rocking with the best. Yes, this is your host for the evening, Brother Red Pillar. And those sounds that you just heard, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Theta Waves featuring the twin pillars, red pillar, blue pillar. All right. I don't know if y'all was able to see the premiere that we had on 363 Empire, but we did a impromptu performance at the Malcolm X Fest for 363 Empire. Check that out if you haven't got the chance. We have a live performance of the Theta Waves. All right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So how's everybody doing today in the building? This evening for that matter, on this good Thursday. TGIT up in this thing. You know what I'm talking about? In a few minutes, it'll be TGIF. You know what I'm talking about? Shout out to everybody that is pulling up. I'm going to give y'all some time, and then we'll get right into the roll call so we could get right into the show. All right. We have a beautiful show lined up for you, okay, on a bevy of topics that we'll be covering. There was an earthquake that took place. We want to talk about that. A lot of things going on with that. We want to tap into the we want to also tap into the World Cup. Very interesting things taking place in the world of the World Cup. And there'll be other stories that we'll be covering as well. All right. When is our next album coming out? Yeah, that's a good question. That is a good question. We're actually working on the rollout as we speak. So, yeah, the next album will be out very soon. We are in the summertime, so we have a few drops coming in the summer. If all goes well, we'll be premiering the Red Summer Deluxe, and we also have an album called Voltron with the good brother Kiambata. All right, and that is on its way. That's definitely in the oven right now. The what do they say? The biscuits, the muffins are about to come out that oven. You know what I mean? They're getting fried up. But yeah, we working. You know, quiet as kept. We are definitely working. You know, it might not look like it, but we are definitely in the lab. We are definitely at work. A lot of things go on when these cameras are not on. You know, yeah. Shout out to 363. We also did on Tuesday. We did the Clive Davis show. We did the Clive Davis show, and that was fire. You know what I'm saying? You know, there was a lot of people throwing their hats in the ring, and I was proud. I was very proud of melanated people in particular who was, you know, they was not holding their tongues. They were not you know, I guess they was waiting for the old man to kick the bucket. I'm not in the industry like that, so I don't know people's sentiments, but I definitely know, you know, that he did have a little bit of, you know, people were intimidated by the perception, by the perceived power, the perception of the power. I was in that building, so I do know that there is a power dynamic, you know, with Clive Davis. And it's not Clive, it's the people who are under him. It's the people who are under him that will tell on you. It's not even Clive. He did his big goblin thing, you know what I mean? He's somewhere counting people's souls that are in a jar. It was really his minions. Yeah, it was his minions. They were the ones that were raised. They were the ones that were snitching. They were the ones that were telling on people. They were the ones that were gatekeeping and whatnot. It's almost similar to what you saw with P. Diddy until they took him down. The day that they took him down, everybody had something to say. The day that they took him down, everybody was like, "Yeah, I don't rock with Cuz." But it was like, fam, we saw you rocking with Cuz. What are you talking about? Like, you're confusing us. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was your man's in them, and you ain't had nothing to say, and it's all good, you know. Just don't try to pop out when everybody else is popping out, and you know, now you kicking dirt, because it don't work like that. But anyway, Clive Davis, the people that were coming out on him and demanding justice for Whitney Houston, not just Whitney, Bobby Krishna, you know, Bobby Krishna. I call her Bobby Krishna. And yeah, they deserve to be they need some more respect. We got to put some respect on their spirits. We got to put more respect on their quote unquote names, because it was very disrespectful the way that they were handled in this lifetime, especially considering that this woman is being called a legend, right? And of course, people don't know necessarily what has happened. They're not they don't know. Like, it's still speculation, but Ray J knows. You know, there's people that know, like somebody knows something, you know. So, you know, if people are gonna get the answers, I think that they should get on top of that immediately and don't wait. Um, the record industry is filled with cowards, and it's all good. It's just don't act tough around the people, because you're not. You know, admit the fact that you are a a paper tigers, you know, and the people who duped you inside of those flashy offices with those flashy offers, you just got to be a little more honest with yourself that you got duped, you got taken for a ride. Then people own your mouth. Pause. They could tell you what to say and what not to say, and you know, you're a perpetual slave, and it's all good, and nobody is being facetious about it either. To be honest with you, to be honest with you, we wanted we wanted you guys to get up out of that situation a long time ago. Henceforth, why there was such a dedication for exposure, right? We were exposing things with the purpose of helping to break you out of these contracts and to help get you out of this quote unquote situation that you may find yourself in. Some people did take full advantage of that and they broke themselves out. Yeah, that did happen. But then others did not, you know, and kudos to both parties. What I do know and what I can attest to is that he's gone and people are elated, you know. But my $1 million question is, who is the next Clive Davis? Who is the next Clive Davis? People are gonna have to, you know, since everybody wants to pop out and talk shit, who is the next Clive Davis? There are names that are in the hat. So it's like, you just gonna wait for people to die and then talk crazy about them? Yeah, that's necromancy. Why don't you say it while they're alive and whatnot? That's necromancy. And for the people that have the mitigated gall to get on podcasts and start firing shots at a Liar Cohen, at a Rick Rubin, at a quote unquote, you know, at some of these names, at a Jimmy Iovine and whatnot. Lucien, why don't y'all shut the fuck up? You know what I'm saying? Pardon my French. It's late though. Why don't y'all cállate la boca, right? I'm on my World Cup shit. And just fall back. Mind your business. If you don't got nothing to say, don't say a thing. Because when people get on these platforms and they try to out your boss, because that's who it is, it's your boss. It's similar to the coaches that call white men dad. You know, the coaches are like their fathers and whatnot. Well, these presidents at these labels is like the father of these men. Yeah, they be paying their bills and whatnot. I saw it when I was at Polo Grounds. They had their moms and whatnot calling up these old men to pay their bills. Now, if I'm putting in work, if I'm an artist and I'm busting my ASS every day to record, I'm doing press and everything, you know, something has to be worked out to where I'm getting compensated in some type of way. There has to be more than one income stream when you have that much motion. Now, our good brother Heru Ofari Atta, he has a Wednesday show in the Rising in the early hours, in the wee hours of 9 a.m. right, every Wednesday to noon and whatnot. And what he talks about and what he talked about this week was DCA, dollar cost average and whatnot. Dollar cost average is basically, you know, Cash App is one of the best apps that I could point how dollar cost average works. You know, direct deposit. You know, direct deposit, right? So it's similar to like a direct deposit, but you're doing a direct deposit into your Bitcoin account. I mean, your Cash App account, and you're basically buying either Bitcoins at a dollar cost average or you're buying stocks. Meaning that every Friday when the paycheck comes, if the paycheck is 3 bands and whatnot, I don't even know what paychecks are these days. I have no idea. You know, it's been a while since I got a paycheck, but I'm assuming what was it? 600 back in the days, 800, 1,000, I don't know. 20% of that goes into your DCA. 80% of that goes into whatever else you're going to be paying down, bills, pocket, savings, whatever. But 20% of your bag on a weekly basis gets split up and it goes into the DCA. Now you might put all of it on one stock, you might put all of it on a Bitcoin, or you might break it up. Right? Let's say that you have $200. You're going to say, all right, I'm going to put 50 on this, 50 on this, 50 on this, and 50 on that. After about 4 years to 5 years to 6 years, when you look into your account, you're up a little something. Don't F around and hit a lick and then you drop about 1,000 or 5,000 on those same quote unquote stocks and just beef up your portfolio a bit. My $1 million question is, and I'm not in nobody's financial business, why the rappers ain't do that? If there was a rapper who had more than one Bitcoin, you would see it on their album cover. They would call themselves the Bitcoin rapper. They would post that shit as much as they be posting everything else to try to sneakers. They take you into their sneaker closet to show off their fucking sneakers as if that's supposed to mean something. They'll show off their Moissanite chains and whatnot. They'll show off their little jewelry boxes. Like, what does that mean? That doesn't appreciate in value. None of that does. Not even those Rolexes. Those ain't Rolex diamonds. What the fuck you done to that? Right? Nobody, not one of them ever put DCA, dollar cost average, in a song. I never seen one of them do the money phone with a bunch of stocks. You know how Kodak would have the money fan and whatnot? I never seen a stock money fan from a rapper. What's in your wallet? I never seen them really show their Bitcoin wallet. I never seen it. It never happened in the history of mankind. All world star, everything. Nobody's done that yet. When Vlad gets up there and talks about his investments, I've heard no rapper say, yeah, I got more than you. I've heard no rapper say, yeah, I did the same thing. So the whole entire time that Clive Davis was alive, he was telling the rappers to basically lie to the people and lead them further into poverty because the rappers were responsible for the financial education. Why do I say that? Somebody would be like, damn, they red pill go again with that stupid shit telling black people what the rappers should be doing. No, y'all was listening to them. What are you talking about? They raised you niggas. So they told you to sell crack, didn't they? They told you to sell box, didn't they? They told you to boost them bitches, stuff it in the bag, didn't they? They tell you to do all of these things that will potentially make you even more poorer, could possibly make you homeless, could put you into Nipsey was not enough. Yes, Nip talked about crypto, but that's not enough. He died, and who talked about it after? What the fuck you mean? That's not enough. It's 100 million rappers on Spotify. Don't give me I don't want to hear about Nipsey and Money Man. That's not enough. Why didn't they copy him the same way that they copied Little Durk? Why didn't they copy him the same way that they copy Playboy Cardi and whatnot? Why are they not dressing like Nipsey? Why are they not addressing the people like Nipsey? Why didn't nobody follow him? I think the only one that's really killing shit is Nas. To be honest with you, Nas' portfolio will put any nigga to shame. And he don't even rap about it. He only had one song that recently came out where he was talking his ish and whatnot. He's literally one of the only rappers I know that bossed up when it comes to stocks and crypto. Everybody else got their head in the sand and they lied to the people and they deceived the people. And it even hurts. It hurts harder when you hear them niggas say, yo, we should honor Clive Davis. It hit harder when you see them on a plane that Liar Cohen sent for these niggas to bring them to his party, and they're on his plane, but they don't have a plane for themselves. That's when it hit hard. It hit hard when you find out that all of their investors were small hats, and a lot of these dudes was investing in Is It Real in places like Dubai and whatnot, into all of their ETFs and their stocks, the blood money. Blood money from the Congo, blood money from the Sudan, blood money from Africa, and the artists, rappers who was pushing black genocide on their people, the money that they was making, they was handing it over to their financial advisor, and the financial advisor was investing in Israel. Facts. All the time. The NBA and the NFL is the same people, and the MLB, all of them is doing the same thing. That's why you have Steph Curry. That's why you have the shooter, KD, and a few other of them. They got exposed because they were investing in drone companies and they were investing in killing machines over in Tel Aviv. And they was like, shit, I didn't know. Yeah, you don't know, because the person who's owned your money and the person is spending your money and the person is lying to you about giving you some type of returns, your hedge fund manager is a Zionist, and you didn't have the audacity or the mitigated goal. You was God body, nigga. Clarence 13X try to raise you. Dr. York try to raise you. Y'all was God body. Y'all was Nubians. Y'all was supposed to have knowledge of self, but you went and laid down with the worst kind of person on the planet. You riddle me that. And throughout your whole career, you tucked your tail. You know what I mean? You tucked your tail and you didn't have a word to say, not even about white supremacy. And that's a misnomer. Not even about white fragility. Not even about white inferiority. That the microphone on that shit went silent in like 88, 89. Facts. 91. They defanged our people, domesticated them and whatnot, and shut them up. They sold them up. So the campaign coming out of Bad Boy Era or Bad Boy Records, which was Arista, which was funded by Clive Davis, that was his record label, right? He was the big dog. Clive Davis started the Bad Boy Era. Clive Davis started the Puffy run, my niggas, after they booted him from Uptown Records. The sound that you hear at Uptown Records with Heavy D, with Jodeci, and P. Diddy is not the same sound that you hear in motherfucking Bad Boy Era with Total, with Craig Mack, with Biggie Smalls, and everybody else that he signed, Mason Betha, Locks, and all of them. That's not the same sound. The Bad Boy sound was called a shiny suit theory. It was the shiny suit era. It was aspiration rap. There's nothing wrong with aspiration rap. We was poor, not poor, poor. You know, poor, you know what I mean? We was poor. We wasn't driving luxury cars, and we was not talking like, you know, we were not aspiring for millions of dollars. We were lucky with a few thousands of dollars. Bad Boy gave us aspiration rap. To whereas we wasn't just talking about it no more. We literally had to see it. Prior to that, you could just talk, you know, you could just talk like a rapper. Like you could just talk aspirational shit. You could say, I killed 100 million people. You know what I mean? I got a yacht, a mega yacht. You know, the Knicks playing basketball. It comes from like that Sugar Hill Gang type shit. But the Bad Boy era produced artists that were really showing shit. Not really like that. It wasn't really showing anything, but they made the streets start showing the wealth. They made the people, the listeners, start aspiring to be bigger in life. And that's what started a lot of people going from ashy to classy. You know? Yeah, got you wearing things that you can't pronounce. That's what put my Moschino holes, my Versace hotties. That's what put everybody in designer. That's what cleaned the shorties up. Facts. They was clean already. They looked like Aaliyah with one bang over their left eye and whatnot. But that's what put them in designer. That's what put them in lace bodysuits. That's the Little Kim effect. You know what I mean? That's what put them in high fashion and whatnot. That's what put black men in 600 Benzes and shit like that. Jacob watches. Aspirational rap. Rap it until you get it. You know, it comes out of the fake it till you make it theory and whatnot. But it's aspirational. You know, Biggie died broke and whatnot. But he looked like, you know what I mean, according to the image that he portrayed, you would think that this man was sitting on millions upon millions and whatnot. And that wasn't the case. He was destined to eventually touch millions, but you know, he was a few outfits away from his Timbs being leaning and shit. His Timbs was leaning. And then Puffy took him out of the leaning Timbs, took him out of the dirty champion hoodies, cleaned that nigga up, you know what I mean? And gave him his whole aesthetics. But that was inspired by Clive Davis. And the freak offs, they was following the footsteps of a Clive Davis. You know, he set all of that off. That was his modus operandi. You dig? That was his modus operandi. I'm not making this up. I don't have no reason to. I'm being very truthful. And as a New Yorker, you know, you don't hear a lot of New Yorkers be that open about what was really going on behind the scenes. But hell yeah. Shit. Jay-Z came and picked up after that. And he brought aspirational rap. Big Daddy Kane was a rapper, but it wasn't aspirational rap. You know, he's of the golden era. BDK is of the golden era. And Biggie Smalls and Jay-Z grew up trying to rap like Big Daddy Kane. They wanted to be like Big Daddy Kane. Big Daddy Kane was a big deal before he got replaced by the Bad Boy sound. He wasn't really popping in that little period. I would say Big Daddy Kane cooled off in 88, right? About 88, he cooled off. And then Biggie and them come in 92, 93. You feel me? But Big Daddy Kane was a problem. When I say a problem. And a lot of people didn't know that. A lot of the youth and whatnot, and people from down south and West Coast and other places, they have no idea the impact of a Big Daddy Kane. But we live in 2026. I can't give you that. I can't make you feel his impact. You would have to been there. I can't really paint that picture. You would have to just have been there, bro. If you didn't hear Lottie Dottie at a block party, if you didn't hear the show by Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick at a block party at Harlem Week when it was on 125th Street, if you didn't hear it then, my nigga, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's just a part. If you didn't hear The Bridge Is Over in New York or wherever you was at, if you didn't see My Philosophy on TV after they killed Scott LaRock and KRS came back with My Philosophy, and the video was like 5 minutes and it was black and white, if you didn't witness that, what the fuck do you want me to tell you? If you didn't see Protect Your Neck from Wu-Tang Clan and the shit looked like they shot it on a phone camera when they didn't even have phone cameras, like, you don't know the feeling. If you didn't rip open a rapper to the Slick Rick album, The Adventures of Slick Rick, and you listen to Davy Crockett, and you had to turn it down because your parents was like, did I just hear what I thought I heard? If you didn't see The Vapors from Big Dad from Biz Markie, and he had Big Daddy Kane in the video, if you didn't see a Teenage Love where Slick Rick was on a 2 train and his shorty was sitting on a train with Big Daddy Kane, and he was gonna reach in the Louis pouch to pull out the 2.5. Remember Teenage Love? A teenage love. A teenage love. Don't hurt me again. Don't a teenage love. Come on, man. Hey Young World. Hey Young World. Yeah, these are all moments. These are all moments. These are pivotal moments in the game and whatnot. And I don't care what 50 Cent or any of these nincompoops try to do. They'll never be able to bring that, recreate the coming of age. That's cute and everything, but none of them have captured the essence of the 90s and the 80s. And that's why I don't watch these shows, because I'm like, I lived through this shit. Y'all are disrespecting my memories. Y'all are disrespecting my memories, bro. That's not how it looked. That's not how it looked. Even Paid in Full was somewhat of a disrespect to the real authentic memories that people who lived through that shit having. I'm not watching some shit that's a recreation of a time that I literally experienced. Grants Park, Grant's Tomb, motherfucking Rutgers and everything. What? They're not. Somebody got to take them pictures, real pictures, use the AI and bring the pictures to life. That's the closest that you're going to get to the real stuff. Other than that, having like millennials play people from the 80s, y'all don't, it's not happening. Not for me. I'm not buying it. You know what I mean? Y'all don't got the same kind of swag. And y'all got your own swag. Y'all got your own swag, respectfully. Y'all got your own swag. B2K and Pretty Ricky is doing the verses right now. That's your swag. That's your swag. King's Son was definitely more intimidating. No, I'll even give you one. Bumpy Knuckles. How about Bumpy Knuckles was more intimidating than DMX? Yeah. He's the Grand Dragon and Puff is the Magic Dragon. That's what's going on. Puff was the Magic Dragon, and he's the Grand Dragon and whatnot. Henceforth, while he was kind of able to throw his weight around and nobody could tell him anything, it wasn't because he had money. He had Clive. He was grabbing his nuts and talking big boy shit because he was touching his toes for Clive, and he was throwing that name around because that name is attached to criminology in the industry, not record sales and all. No, bodies. That's what his name was attached to, bro. Bodies. He was like, you don't want me to get Clive on the phone, and all the white people knew who Clive's boy toy was. He could get you packed up. Sean Combs, that is, by calling up Clive. You know? Bumpy Knuckles was pressure back in the days. He was definitely pressure. King's Son was pressure and whatnot. You know? But it's not because Red Pill says it. It's not because it's the old school music, or what we call the classics, or what we call the golden era. Y'all have been through numerous shows. Y'all probably like, damn, this old ass Negro, all he do is talk about his memories back in the days. If I ever sound like that, please send me an email or something and just let me know. Yo, you sounded like the old head to be on his back in the days. But there's been numerous shows that I've done, and I'm trying to put them all together. I'm gonna use the AI to categorize everything. But I've been on these shows reminiscing with y'all, going through because I know my demographics. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking to people of my age group, a little bit older than me, and those that are younger than me. And it really gives me a good feeling when I speak to the younger generation because I'm like, shit, when my dad was kicking it to me about his era and he was painting them pictures and whatnot, and he was making me go and listen to this music, and I was interested in it the way that he was telling the story because he was giving it some context. That's how I be hoping that it hits with the younger generation. And then later on, y'all start hearing about these artists, either they die, unfortunately, or their names resurface. And it's like, oh, okay, I remember that. Where did I hear this before? Damn, this sounds familiar. I heard this name. I heard this artist and what? Damn, where did I hear this? Yo, oh shit, that shit fire. One of the things that I would tell any of the young listeners, do not judge the catalogs of some of these old artists by the way that they moving right now. You'll miss out on some fire shit. That's why I said sometimes it's really the experience of being there right then and there, because it's like, ooh, that shit fire. And you're not judging, you're just experiencing. Now it's like if I say R. Kelly and you never heard R. Kelly, you're judging before you go and listen. It's going to mess up the experience, right? It's almost like I had put up a list of all of these great speakers, all of these babas that I gave credit to. I gave credit to these babas and whatnot during Father's Day. I got people, so I put Dr. York's picture up there. I put a few other pictures up there. People in my comments like, oh, he's no, nigga, he's nothing. When I was a teenager, and I didn't know who the hell a Dr. York was, and they put a book in my hand, that should change my projection of life. Later on down the line, I start hearing things, right? And that goes for any of these teachers. That don't take away what I learned. The fuck you mean? You think I'm gonna take this memory and I'm gonna throw it away? That don't take nothing away from what I experienced with the lessons. The lessons was right and exact. And that's what I took up from, and I pay homage to anyone who was teaching and was able to get through my thick skull, and I was able to, help me with my journey. You know what I'm saying? I have how people wind up in life, that don't got nothing to do with me. I'm not invested like that. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, so with Chuck D, the way Chuck D be acting, no disrespect, but it will skewer the experience of Public Enemy. If you're like not into the Democrats, if you're not into that agenda of and you be tapping in, you like, this nigga is so woke, like he will ruin the experience of listening to Public Enemy, because the early Public Enemy is some of the most sonically the Fear of a Black Planet, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. There's multiple Public Enemy albums that is super classic. I'm talking about, it's a sound that you'll never hear. Terminator X was laying like 60 samples on whatchamacallit, on what's that, on Fear of a Black Planet album. The Chuck D spitting the shit that he was saying, bro. I mean, bro, I don't I believe in clones, because I'm like, son, this ain't this is not the same person who wrote this shit. Because what was he on? Like, if he wrote this back in the days, what happened? What really happened? Night of the Bassheads. The first 4 albums is unmatched. Right. Oh man, he was going super hard. And Chuck D was, he was Himothy back then. He was him. People was intimidated. They was locked in. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. So the best thing that we could do is figure out a way to play some of this music. You know, I can't do that on YouTube. I don't know where I could play this music, but I need to play this music. This music is going to set us free. I know the sequencing, how I'm not a DJ, but I do know some of the songs I want to hear. And I'm like, let's get that shit popping. Let's get in the time machine, because music is the time machine. Music literally takes us back to a pocket in time where we could fix things. You know what I mean? Or we could tap into a memory that gives us a feeling, and that feeling can heal things. Okay? The music, though, takes us into our quote unquote time machine. Okay, a Zoom or on our so we could play the music on Discord without getting into no mishaps with them people. Because if that's the case, we need to set that up immediately. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to play. It's summertime too. I'm ready to play some real New York shit. And then I ain't gonna just keep it in New York. I'll take it into Houston. That first Scarface album. I'll take it into you know what I mean? I'll take it into I'll play some Kilo from Atlanta, you know what I'm saying? Some Goody Mob. Like it's time to tap into that aspect of things. You know, because we could talk about the artist, but this is music we're talking about. And to be honest with you, when it comes to Clive Davis in the rap game, I don't know. I'm gonna drop the link for the Discord right now. Y'all could go and sign up to that Discord. Get up in there. That's the Netterflix. That's Netterverse. Get up in there, because that's where we will be doing this music show. You know what I mean? I gotta find a DJ, and then we about to turn up. If I got any DJs in the audience, I don't think I could play the music on Patreon in particular. Patreon is a little they'll hit me with a copyright strike. But Discord, I believe we could do Discord, because I remember seeing the streamers, they be playing music on the Discord. Was we vibing to funk in New York? Yes, hell yeah. Super facts. The funk was popping. That was after the disco. We was heavy on the funk. You know what I'm saying? We was heavy on the funk. So yeah, you said, yeah, you trying to tap in? Yeah. The new music channel. Well, yeah, that's gonna be on Discord. We're gonna be doing it. Because I want to play copyright music right now. We got music videos and other thing, but I want to play the copyrighted music. So you know, we're gonna tap in. Shit gonna be like the summer 2026. If 1973 is here, we're gonna go from 73 all the way up to 2026 with the vibes. We got dance hall music to play. We got R&B, that real R&B, like, you know, the hip hop R&B era, but also that R&B like Silk, Mint Condition, you know, some Whitney and all of that. Shit like that. You know? But I have a top 10, and it was controversial and whatnot. I threw it on my page. Let me pull it up. Top 10 New York, the most important albums in New York. Now, this is where it gets weird, right? This is where it gets weird, because it's so many classics in New York. It's hard to pick a top 10. It is hard to pick a top 10. But yeah, he tried. This dude in the video, he tried and whatnot. And people was all in my comments like, "Where he left this out? He left that out." I'm like, it just go to show you, it's so many classics that you can't just go straight top 10. So Slick Rick, The Great Adventures of Slick Rick. If you haven't heard that album, that is a must. Go and check it out. Paid in Full, Eric B. and Rakim. If you haven't heard, don't listen to one song, listen to all of them. Classic. right? Some people saying that should have been top 3. Of course, DMX first album, It's Dark and Hell is Hot, right? That's a no-brainer. Straight, The Low End Theory and Midnight Marauders from A Tribe Called Quest. If you want to hear that jazz sound, if you want to hear that quote unquote flow, that 90s flow with that jazz sound and the fire beats. Oh man, if you want to hear that dark, where all of that dark shit comes from with some fire lyrics coming from Prodigy, yeah, the Infamous. And Big Noid and Havoc, all of them was going in. The 50 Get Rich or Die Trying. Remember, these are the albums that impacted New York, right? Yeah, of course, you got 36 Chambers. That was a problem. Reasonable Doubt. Now people will be like, Reasonable Doubt. No, Reasonable Doubt, even though when it came out, Purple Tape was, and I'm mad that Purple Tape ain't up there. Notorious Big, Ready to Die, right? And then you got Illmatic. Now remember, the albums that come after from these artists, they're classics as well. But the first albums were those out. It wasn't like these artists came out and then they had to come out with another album. No, their first albums shook the game up. It shook New York. Yeah. Honorable mention is definitely EPMD, The Purple Tape, KRS-One with Criminal Minded, and LL Cool J with Radio. Those are the ones that keep coming up. Low key, Tupac is from New York, but we're not claiming him right now. Respectfully. That was MC New York, where he changed his name to Tupac. He was in Baltimore and Oakland. So we're going to let him be an out-of-towner. They wasn't feeling Mob on the West Coast. Why not? I wouldn't say the Special Ed's album changed New York. These are the albums that impacted and changed it. I would say that he had a dope single, but these are albums. These are classic albums, not singles. These are the albums, right? So Nas has many other albums, but Nas' first up to bat and Biggie's first up to back, those were the classics that changed things and set their careers in the direction. If the albums would have flopped, the careers probably, they wouldn't have been on Mad Mixtapes. They wouldn't have been on the features and whatnot. They wouldn't have been the hottest dudes to catch up with in the studio. Black Moon, yeah, that's another one. That's another one. Yeah, Juice did make Tupac who he was. Yeah. If anybody is out there, be honest. When Tupac before Juice, he was all right, you know what I mean? But he was not top tier. Let's be honest with ourselves. Before Juice, Tupac was not top tier. Everybody knew he had, that was the kid, that was the, that was dude with the dashiki on from the Digital Underground video. Then when he popped up with I Get Around and Brenda's Got a Baby, that's when the shift started. That's when the shift started with Brenda's Got a Baby. And niggas was like, oh, son is spitting. I think he came to New York to shoot that one. You feel me? And then we got I Get Around. Oh my goodness. It was over after that. I Get Around. They said that Puffy was obsessed with that video. Pain. Okay, so Pain comes with the soundtrack of, what is that? Is that Above the Rim? Yeah, Pain is from, Pain. By time Pain hit, he was already lit. We talking 91, right? When did Juice come out? 91, I think. So by time Pain comes, niggas is already, because he got the song with Spice One. He's heating up on singles right now. He's heating up on singles and shit, right? His single game is going crazy. And then he dropped that album. Juice is 92. The Tupacalypse album did it. Yup, that was it. Because Strictly for My Niggas and all of that, like I said, it was lit, but the competition was so heavy. The competition was so heavy. Juice is 91. Thank you. The competition was so heavy that he was shining, but he wasn't the outlier. Niggas, everybody was spitting. You feel me? Everybody was spitting. The majority of those classics that I just named were from 90 to 93. Everybody was spitting. You know? And then nobody knew that he was an actor like that. And when they seen Son acting, they was like, Son is cold. Yeah, Juice is 92. So the game starts heating up right around this time. Can you find out when he did Pain? When does the soundtrack for Above the Rim come out for Pain? Because Pain was like Poetic Justice. Yeah, what songs came out of that? What songs came out of Poetic Justice that I need to know about? Pac was making more noise with his arrest, with the shit that he was doing with the law. And 94 was what? 94 was Above the Rim album soundtrack. Okay. So yeah, so boom. So this run right here from 92 to 94 made Pac a legend. And then he goes to jail. And it's the whole shit about jail. And I've said this before. Jail is twofold. It could resurrect you, right? It could resurrect a man, or it could bury a man. I said it's a dress rehearsal for death. You know what I mean? Because the same people that's gonna check on you when you locked up is the same people that's gonna go to your grave and check on you when your ass is gone. It's a slow dress rehearsal for death. That's what jail is. But some people go and they get resurrected. That's kind of what Tupac, he got resurrected when they buried him alive. He got resurrected by Suge Knight. And he came out bigger than when he went in. Because when he got shot up and went to jail like a week later, and niggas was like, yo, Son is a dub. They was mad at him. They was like, he's a dub. You know, they wrote him off in New York. They was like, Son is a dub. And then he started beefing with Biggie from jail. He wasn't beefing with Biggie before he went to jail. You know what I'm talking about? That was his mans in him. He started beefing from behind the bars. And niggas was like, yo, what's up with your mans in him? There was a lot of interventions on Tupac Amaru Shakur. I don't think people know that or not. They got caught up in the way that they lionized him when he got murdered. But when he was going through his issues and whatnot, he was seen as a goofy to a lot of people. Because it was like, why you keep getting in trouble? What do you have on you? Because remember, a lot of rappers get locked up now. You see a lot of rappers getting into shit now. It wasn't like that back then. It wasn't like that back then. Nobody was getting locked up every other week, bro, except Tupac Shakur. He thought Biggie set him up. Yeah, we know the story. We know the story. We all know the story, you know. But it just needs more clarity because they don't be telling the real story. And I once again, my memory is still intact. I lived through it. And I'm like, I seen it I'm like, shit, I see it different than how everybody else might see it. I see it the truth through the truthful eyes. Y'all embellished him. You know what I mean? They lionized him, they embellished him, and they pedestaled him after he died. Because when he was alive, it wasn't, you get your, you gotta die in this shit. This is a necromancy culture. You gotta die. You know what I mean? Life after death, my niggas. You get bigged up after death, not in life. Not in life. Yeah, it was safer to be. Yeah, the people who allegedly robbed him, it was way safer to blame Biggie on that. Back in those days, it was way safer to blame Puff Daddy and Biggie than to say the name of the dudes that clapped him up. You know? Yeah, he wasn't. The ladies loved him. The ladies always loved him. But the streets and the hood niggas, nah, they did not like no Tupac Shakur, bro. They did not. They did not like. He did 5 mil. Yeah, I'm saying he did that because with All Eyes on Me, right? That was the one that came out when he was locked up, right? And then he came out with Me Against the World after that, or was it the other way around? It wasn't no rappers in jail like that. ODB followed later on. It wasn't rappers doing time for rape. Mike Tyson was the first one to go down for some shit like that. Nobody's seen that before. Nobody's seen that before. Okay, it was the other way around. So yeah. So when he was locked up, they loved him down south. Okay. When he was locked up, that's when he started going crazy. He went #1 with an album while he was locked up. That shit had slaps on it. He was getting better as an artist. Like I said, that run from 92 to 94 was epic. That's what cut Tupac Shakur into the history books. And he lasted a little while after he got out and made it even more legendary. But 92 to 94 is the Tupac legendary run. But it was in the shadows of Bad Boy because Bad Boy took over. So Pac had a run, but 92 to 97 or 92 to damn near 99 is Puffy's run. And he dominated that shit. You feel me? He dominated. He was checkmating. He was dominating shit with a new sound. With a new sound. Dear Mama. Oh yeah, Dear Mama. Legendary shit. You know? Legendary shit. You know? But that total, that R&B hip hop shit, the party and bullshit, going to the club and getting fly, bagging shorties that look like they was actresses, nigga, that's Puffy, bro. Dudes hopping out of $100,000 cars with the white linen on, looking clean. What are we talking about? That's Harlem. That's Harlem. Shorties miraculously just started looking bad out of nowhere. Nigga, that's Harlem. That was the Bad Boy era. They started that. They got the shorties looking the way that they look. They had dudes cleaning up. That didn't come from nowhere else. Let's just be clear. I just gotta give credit where it's due. Brooklyn don't even clean up like that. We started getting cleaned up because we seen Biggie get cleaned up. Brooklyn was wearing hoodies and they was robbers. They're robbing people. They're Brooklyn is the Brooklyn keeps on taking it. Brooklyn keeps on taking it. They're takers. No, we're not forgetting Me Against the World. And back in those days, they were fighting in the clubs. So you would go to clubs like the Warehouse. They was playing Wu-Tang and niggas was fighting. That's what they were doing. It was called a sword. It was a sword play because there was no shorties in the clubs like that. It was all dudes with hoodies on, Timberlands, army jackets, and they were violent in the clubs. Yeah, that was back in the days. You know? And then they came with a new sound and the daughters started coming out. And then it tipped the scale. So now you have in the club is more women to men. But back in the 90s, It was more men to women. What is women doing in the club? There wasn't music for them like that. Why are women going to the club? The men are broke. They wasn't, you know what I mean? Not they wasn't broke or nothing, but they wasn't in the clubs. Like, I don't know where they was at, but they wasn't in the club. And then the tunnel era came. So the tunnel era is directly tied into the bad boy era. Peter Gation, he's the promoter. Jessica, the same woman that you see in the beginning scene of Belly that gets shot through the window when they are in the tunnel. When the scene in Belly with the blue lights and it opens up, that's the tunnel. That's the legendary tunnel. That's where the New York sound was created that carried the bad boy era into infamousy. Funkmaster Flex was the DJ and DJ Cap was the DJ. They had a DJ booth above the bar and whatnot, like a stage above the bar, and then they had a stage. And the tunnel is legendary. You know what I'm talking about? Tunnel is legendary, and that's where a lot of people got their start of their career. Chain snatchers, robbers, boosters, jostlers, knockout artists, killers, robbers, all of that, hustlers, big willies, everybody converged in the tunnel. Unisex bathroom, by the way. Okay. They would search you at the door like you was in the airport, by the way. You had to take your boots off. You was going through a metal detector, open your mouth, all of that. This was TSA before TSA. You know? Who was the club boss lady from Brooklyn in the 90s? You mean Maria Davis? I won't say that she was the club boss lady. She just had a show. She had like a talent show and shit, you know? New York Juice exposed me to New York culture back in the day. Yeah. I would say it wasn't really accurate. It was a movie set. I don't even know what era they were trying to portray, but it was kind of accurate, but it wasn't that accurate. I would say that the movie Juice, similar to like how people told me Boys in the Hood, it wasn't as accurate, but Boys in the Hood created the simulacra. It started terraforming the life. The life imitated the art. So in New York, the life started to imitate the art of Juice. Niggas started turning into Bishop more, right? We started getting more bishops than before because people used to run in posses, right? Bishop, like on a game of chess, he stood alone. He was the lone gunman. He was the breakout of the crew. He was the one in the crew who was the cipher. He was the one in the crew who broke off and went rogue and whatnot and turned against the crew. That started happening. You know, that started happening. Niggas started to, that's how you get Rich Porter, and that's why that shit hit so hard, because Alpo turned into a Juice. I mean, Alpo turned into Bishop and whatnot and turned on his mans in them. Yeah, he opened the back door. That's what Bishop did. That's what the character of Bishop opened the back door, because niggas was not crashing out on each other like that. They were more brotherly back then. There was crews, people were running 16 deep, 630 deep, 40 deep. Everybody had each other's back and whatnot. And then everybody start doing backdoor shit because they wanted to be Tupac. Tupac, for the history buffs, his first name is MC New York. I'm not making this up. That was his real life name. Tupac Amaru Shakur. First name was MC New York, born in the Bronx, right? Okay. That one Judas. Yeah. He popularized the Judas, you know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, he popularized the Judas and he made that a thing. He made that an archetype. He really did. The Dog Pound, yeah, they was a problem. You know, Daz and Corrupt. Lassane Crooks. Yep. Yes, sir. Let's get into this earthquake, ladies and gentlemen. I want to cover this earthquake. I want to send my condolences to the people in Venezuela. You know what I'm saying? Because when I was in Colombia, I met a lot of Venezuelans. Venezuela, if you don't know geographically, is right next to Colombia, South American country. Very good, you know, the people there, very from what I saw, very loving people, you know what I'm saying? Lighthearted, you know, happy people and whatnot. Um, Spirit is definitely telling me that this needs to be looked at with the third eye. You know, there's a lot of stories and shit like that about what was going on in the skies before it happened, you know? So we'll talk about it, you know. But what I don't trust is America. And I know that they have their fangs inside of Venezuela right now. So can they manipulate the weather? Yes. Can they cause earthquakes? Maybe. Well, this one is an anomaly because we had two earthquakes, twin earthquakes, right? So now when we have a twin earthquake in a place like Venezuela, right, when they were practicing, when they were literally going through a celebration that day, right, for Shango, you know, we have to ask ourselves, was something happening? You know what I mean? Should we investigate? Should we look at this with the third eye? And I would say most definitely. You know what I'm saying? Most definitely. So we'll go through it. We'll go through it. We'll go through the deep dive and see what we see. You know what I'm saying? Check it out. Let's start it up.
Venezuela, 2025. UFO Archive.
So what makes this earthquake stand out is the fact that it's a double earthquake. Okay, it's a twin earthquake, right? This is very rare. Usually when you have an earthquake, everything is released in that quote unquote quake. It's almost like releasing stress in a rupture, right? Releasing energy. But this time it happened with two different pulses and whatnot. Okay. And then we have four different earthquakes around the world, but it just so happened that all of these earthquakes were inside of something called the Ring of Fire. How many of y'all are familiar with the Ring of Fire, y'all? The Ring of Fire happens to be a horseshoe-shaped belt that surrounds much of the Pacific. So we're talking about the Pacific Ocean, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Inside of what is known the Ring of Fire, 75% of the Earth's active volcanoes and 90% of the world's earthquakes are inside of what is known as the Ring of Fire. All right. So the Ring of Fire goes all the way up from Chile, right? It goes across Alaska, it goes through Russia, Japan, the Philippines, and the South Pacific. It's not just relegated to a small area. The Ring of Fire is huge, and even some people say that there is sunken civilizations inside of that ring. Okay, where they had a massive earthquake that swallowed up. We may be talking Lemuria, we may be talking Atlantis, right? These people are definitely in the ocean drilling, though, right? So you know that they're drilling, you know that they're sucking up all of that oil. When you remove too much oil from the plates, right, then you'll have yourself a quote unquote tectonic shift and whatnot. They were pulling a lot. They were pulling a lot of quote unquote oil, unrefined oil from that quote unquote land, right? Remember, they're raping the land, they're pillaging Venezuela, okay? And then they brought death with them. So when you see all of those people dying and whatnot, that is just an indication of who? Donald Trump and the murder and the death and the quote unquote darkness that follows him, right? The darkness that follows the gringos, the death that follows the gringos. Okay, wherever the gringos land, wherever the gringos plant their flag and whatnot, there is sure to be a catastrophe or a calamity that follows. Just think about it. You could go and do your research. If you want to go further down a rabbit hole, just go ahead and do the research. Wherever they plant their flag, right? You could go into when they went into Haiti. You could go and look at when they went into Cuba. You could go and look at to when they went into any of these countries and whatnot. How soon did calamities follow them? That's a easy search. Perplexity or Gemini will get you the answer. Even Grok. How far, how long from when they landed, right, and planted their flag before catastrophe struck? And then after you finish with the USA, go and do the Roman Catholic Church, please. Please. Okay? So check it out. Ring of Fire, right? Different cultures interpret the Ring of Fire. Different cultures interpret volcanoes. Different cultures interpret earthquakes differently than what the quote unquote Americana or the Americans or what the gringos do. We look at it through one lens, they might look at it from another. So in other cultures, they talk about dragons and serpents beneath the mountains. And we spoke about this when I visited the Andes and whatnot. And I was like, family, something lives in that bitch. It's just too big, it's too vast, and it's too mysterious for it just to be a regular mountain with flowers and trees on it. No, I felt the presence. I felt something that was in those mountains. And I was at the foothill of the mountain. I was not even in the mountains. I was at the foothill of it, looking at it from a distance, and I could feel the presence of some type of supernatural power or entities, not just entity. The mountain is an entity itself, right? So you have sacred mountains as gateways between worlds. These sacred mountains are gateways between worlds. They open up worlds, and not just mountains, they're like doorways, okay? And they also, in these Latin American, South American, very spiritual communities, what do they see? They see catastrophic destruction followed by renewal. Catastrophic destruction followed by renewal, right? Fire emerging from beneath the earth, right? So when that lady said that there's going to be an alien attack on June the 21st while the quote unquote games were being played, it did not. The games were being played. The World Cup was being played, and the earthquake hit 4 different places. Let's talk about it. Now, y'all might think an alien invasion is a UFO, but why can't an alien invasion be an earthquake of a serpent waking up? Why the alien invasion can't be a fucking mountain collapse and something comes out of that? Why can't an alien invasion be the ring of fire lighting the fuck up? Because aliens are big. Aliens are like power. So when they burst through, when they make their, because remember, they said that the aliens were underground. They were not above ground. They duped the people, got you looking in the sky and everything, but the aliens are in the ocean. The aliens are underneath the caverns of the earth. The aliens are inside the bitch, right? So I'm just saying, right? What gave it away for me is the twin earthquakes. Okay, you had a 7.2. The first one that hit was 7.2. That's a 9. 39 seconds later, the 7.5. That's an 11. So you got the 9/11 earthquakes and whatnot. These are twin earthquakes. This whole twin motif. You got Jalen Brunson with the 11 and whatnot, 1 and 1 and whatnot. This 11. This 11 is a doorway as well. Okay, 11/11. You have the 11 doorway. But this was a seismic doublet, right? 2 major faults were rupturing almost simultaneously rather than the main earthquake followed by a much smaller aftershock. No, this was not an aftershock. These are 2 major earthquakes occurring 39 seconds apart. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is extremely rare. That does not happen like that, okay? So the earthquake hit the boundary where the Caribbean plate and the South American plate interact. Okay, but this has happened before in Venezuela, ladies and gentlemen. This happened in 1641, 1812, 1967, 1997, 2018. Okay. And of course, you know, the twin archetype, the creation and destruction, judgment and renewal. You know, spiritual people see these things as judgment and renewal, right? And it just so happens that the earthquake hit on one of their religious days. This is not happenstance, okay? And when you do the research, it lines up with the fire horse year and whatnot. So the fire horse year where the earthquake hit, I'll give you that in a minute. But what we want to cover before we get to that is what was yesterday in Venezuela. Well, yesterday in Venezuela was a special holiday. That holiday that they were practicing, ladies and gentlemen, is called the Battle of Carabobo. Okay. It was the anniversary of the Battle of Carabobo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's Carabobo. And what did that have to do? The war for their independence. Okay. 1821, June the 24th. Okay. June the 24th, 1821. There was a very decisive military engagement called the Battle of Carabobo or Carabobo. And that was with Simon Bolivar. That's who Heru was talking about, because Heru visited Richmond and he was talking about Denmark VC, and then he brought up Simon Bolivar. And when I went into Colombia, that's also who I saw. I was seeing them giving him a lot of praise and whatnot. I'm gonna write it down. Battle of Carabobo, right? So we talking about, so this is a place that the gringos have taken over, right? Because the gringos is up in there. You don't know what trumpet, you know, Trump and them is insane and whatnot. You know that Peter Thiel and them is insane. Peter Thiel is right next to them, hiding out in Argentina. Peter Thiel and them is insane. Palantir is insane. The Trump administration, his fucking twins, the coke snorting sons of his, not twins, the coke snorting sons of Trump. All of them are insane. So imagine what they're over there in Venezuela doing. They took their president on a plane in a Nike Tech. The disrespect was right there. So guess what? They went back into Venezuela. They're pillaging them. They're pillaging the land. They're taking the gold. They're taking the oil. They're taking the resources. So now on a day where they're celebrating their independence, right? A decisive battle and whatnot. On a day when they're celebrating their independence, that shit struck. The motherfucking shit struck, and it hit twice and whatnot as a twin earthquake. That's not no regular earthquake. Who is that? The ancestors. Who is that? The ancestors. So they have a celebration to Shango and Ogun the day of the earthquake. Actually, the earthquake hit while they having a celebration. Let's get to it. As you can see, these are melanated people, right? Melanated people celebrating what? Independence, but calling on their ancestors, right? Calling on their ancestors, okay? Summoning Shango, summoning Ogun, and then the church starts shaking. What are we talking about? Right? Because them crazy ball heads, the gringos are on their land. The gringos are on their land. Right? Look at that shit. So the battle that was fought, the decisive battle, helped them with their independence. They got their independence off of the battle. Right? I want to know, how did it affect the Amazon? That's what I want to know. I need to find out what happened in the Amazon, because remember, this is still Amazon related and whatnot. And I ain't talking about Jeff Bezos. I'm talking about the Amazon rainforest, because that's where they really are trying to affect and whatnot. So is this earthquake an earthquake, or is it some type of explosion? Right? Was it an underground explosion? What is going on? Because it happened in different places, right? It happened in Japan, it happened in California, it happened in Venezuela. Yeah, similar to Haiti and whatnot. So now, after the earthquake, what happens? America and FEMA goes up in there and they start kidnapping children, right? After earthquakes like this, they get a lot of money and whatnot. I was getting checks for Sandy, the Sandy superstorm. Homie, you better get out that water. That's all I know. Nigga. I was getting big checks from it was like a FEMA type of organization. I forgot the name of them, but disaster industry is big. I was meeting white boys that was like, yeah, all I do is follow earthquakes and get paid. Yeah, the disaster industry is humongo.
That lady predicted there was going to be some kind of alien invasion at the World Cup, and now in Venezuela, almost around we're estimating about 10,000 people have died. 10,000 to 100,000. I mean, if they're here, if aliens are here to take our souls, then they just took about a few thousand. I mean, they caused these events. I mean, you know, these earthquakes aren't caused on purpose. If you've done any kind of research into the alien aspect of things. So, these guys caught it on camera off the coast. What do you guys think happened? Keep you guys up.
Venezuela.
Tembló. Mira cómo está cara.
Remember, shanty towns. I was telling people when I was in Colombia, I saw the shanty towns, right? So imagine how them things got flattened. Look at the earthquake. Look at the rubble.
Tembló. Mira cómo está Caracas. Hubo desastre en Caracas. Tembló. Mira cómo se ve Caracas. Mira. Mira, la tembladera.
And briefly triggered tsunami alerts in the powerful earthquake struck Venezuela just 39 seconds apart. A magnitude 7.1 was followed by a magnitude 7.5. The shaking was felt across Caracas and briefly triggered tsunami alerts in the Caribbean.
6 in Northern California. Okay, who upset planet Earth? Because this is major. Not one, not two, 3 major earthquakes in the last few hours. A 5.6 in Northern California near Redwood Valley, Mendocino County. Strong shake alerts. Thankfully, no major damage reported yet. Then a 6.9 offshore Japan. No big tsunami threat, but definitely a wake-up call. And then a 7.1 in Venezuela near Morón with strong shaking in Caracas, some building damage, and even a tsunami alert issued for the region. This is extremely significant. 3 big quakes in different parts of the world. I've watched quakes for years, as you know, and I have not seen such big quakes on the same day. So, have your go bags ready, and let's keep an eye on things. I hope everyone is safe as always, and I'll see you in the comments.
Is waking up to devastating apocalyptic scenes this morning after 2 devastating earthquakes struck in and around the capital of Caracas. Thousands are presumed to be dead. The official number right now is 164 dead and nearly 1,000 people injured, but that toll is set to skyrocket because, as you can see, buildings across the country just completely collapsed. And right now there is an ongoing search and rescue effort to try to find individuals under the rubble. The United States has pledged its support to Venezuela monetarily. Jose Andres has already announced he's donating $1 million to Venezuela. The U.S. has deployed search and rescue teams, according to Rubio, from Fairfax County and other parts of the United States. Germany says it's deploying 6 military planes to assist with efforts in Venezuela. And other countries across the globe are rallying right now. This is a very serious situation. Please pray for the people of Venezuela today. And I'll have more.
What did you look like? Okay, there was, if you don't know, there was 2 earthquakes within a minute of each other in Venezuela that were both over 7.0, and then there was like another one in Japan that was 6.9, and 2 other ones that were over 6. It's unusual to have that many big earthquakes in one day, okay? But we see Mars is on Algol, okay, in Taurus, which Taurus is an earth sign. So Mars is, you know, that aggression fighting planet. He's on Algol, that evil star, riling up the earth, because that is in a sextile with Jupiter. So Jupiter is expanding that and making that big. But Jupiter is at the final degrees of Cancer, the water sign. There is a tsunami warning for that earthquake for this earthquake. And that Jupiter is in a trine with Chiron, which just moved into Taurus, which is ruled by Venus, which Venus is rules water, okay? This is moisture. So, and that's in a trine with Saturn in Aries, which is ruled by that Mars. See, Mars is creeping closer and closer to that Uranus, which Uranus is a lot of times involved with earthquakes and that type of stuff because it's unexpected activity. And we also have Mercury, which Mercury rules a lot of our weather stuff because that has to do with wind. That's really close to that Jupiter. So that's why we've been having a lot of storms right now too, because that's in that Cancer sign, which is a water sign. But it definitely feels like we could get more of this over the weekend, because Mars and Jupiter are going to stay in aspect with each other as Mars just gets closer and closer to Uranus, and then Jupiter will be moving up to where it's in aspect with that Neptune, big water, in July, when they're both in fire signs, big angry water. This is that heat wave too, like Saturn. There, some places they're having an extraordinary heat wave because of that Saturn in Aries. The weather this summer is about to be fucking insane.
Seven minutes before the mass destruction in Venezuela, Solar System Geometry Survey issued a warning, but no one listened. Why? Because NASA assured everyone that you can't predict earthquakes, and you thought you couldn't distrust them enough.
Mira el edificio mío, vos.
So let's go on a Caribbean tour. You know what I mean? Because there's some shit going on in the Caribbean and different places and whatnot. Let's go to Puerto Rico, y'all. Let's go to PR.
Puerto Rico doesn't have any water. Well, Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico don't have any water. And I feel this. I clearly just snagged this from the internet. But seriously, the info dropping that Trump wanted to sell Puerto Rico or exchange it for Greenland. And if you know the history in the federal government with Puerto Rico, that's just the beginning. I mean, we're talking hundreds upon hundreds of years of colonization. They're still there, though. You ain't take their island yet, have you? All I'm saying is, I'm sure the resorts across the island, they have plenty of water. I'm sure all the white people colonizing the island, they have clean water too. This is just affecting Puerto Ricans. Imagine not having access to fucking water. Oh, they're brown, so it doesn't matter, right?
That's crazy. White folks in the summertime, them clips don't look too good. They look like they're going through it this summer, man. What the fuck? God damn. Send our friends some sunscreen, y'all. Let's send all of our white correspondents some goddamn salve and some motherfucking castor oil and some sunscreen. They looking toe up. Shit. The fuck? They looking toe up on these streams. Where we going? Oh man. So let's go into the World Cup. Let's go into the World Cup. But before we go into that, let me just remind you, I'm going to show you this again.
Venezuela, 2025.
This pattern, this is why I think this is the government, right? Because I've seen this pattern in places that had earthquakes before. These orbs. This is not a new thing. This showed up a few times in my research. So I'm just throwing that out there if anybody has seen this pattern before.
UFO Archive.
You see it. All right, let's get into some worldly things. Let's talk World Cup.
Is the World Cup of the underdogs, because Haiti scored their first World Cup goal after 52 years, leaving Morocco shocked and scrambling. But the thing is, they didn't just score one goal, they scored two, and the second goal was probably the goal of the tournament. Haiti's Isidore just decided to smash the ball outside the box, hitting the top bins and leaving Haiti staff looking like this. Isidore, you had no right to score like that, but wow, I am moved, because regardless of the outcome, Haiti, you came here and you battled your heart out, and you should be so proud. And this is what we love at the World Cup. So I better see all the Haiti players on 1 million followers.
When I turned on the Ghana versus England game, the captain of Ghana, Jordan Ayew, his head was wrapped in bandages. Apparently from a head-on-head collision with Reece James. Now maybe it's just me, but I have never seen anybody play with bandages on their head. And that was the moment I realized that I don't think England knew who they were playing against. A tie between Ghana and England was a symbol of where Africa sits in the world. I mean, all these black players are playing for the colonizer, because for decades, European clubs and academies have been scouting talent in Africa, Latin America, the Caribbean. And they move those players out of those countries and into Europe, where they concentrate money, media, and prestige. This is another way that they pull talents from the global south. Hey, but word on the street is Africa tired of being exploited. Western companies are being expelled. Africa is building Africa for Africans, rather than exporting all of their resources to Europe. Because why is Switzerland and Belgium known for chocolate, but they don't have any cocoa plantations? How can Italy be known for espressos and cappuccino and cafe culture, but they don't grow coffee? How can Britain be known for tea if tea is from China and a lot of it is produced in India and Sri Lanka? All I'm saying is look at Ghana specifically. They are the largest gold producer in Africa, and they have already increased their royalties on mining revenue from 5 to 12%. Now they are considering transferring ownership of their gold mines to local companies entirely. And all of this is being played out at the World Cup. Let me give you some game. Back in 1966, just 9 years after Ghana declared independence from Britain, Africa boycotted the World Cup because they were only allowing one team from both Africa and Asia to participate. Like, how you gonna carve up a continent into 54 countries and then say, choose one? Truly, it wouldn't have mattered anyways. Later on, the FIFA president said that the entire tournament was rigged for England to win. You see, England is the country that has so much time and misery on their hands that they were able to spread slavery and soccer across the world. And even though they wanted to belittle Africa, stop them from even competing, cripple them so they could only be exploited. Despite all of this, Ghana went on and tied England on the world stage. Exactly 60 years later, they tied the same team who won the World Cup the year Africa boycotted it. That's not just a scoreboard. That's the future of Africa. No matter how bruised or bandaged they are, they're gonna play the game.
you would never go back to though?
I would go back everywhere, but a place that I wouldn't pay. Like if that bread right, if they say, hey, we want you to come out here and promote this, I'm going to get the bread. But I wouldn't necessarily want to go back to Argentina unless it was somewhere different. But I didn't find Argentina super fun. And I was there for a long time too. I was there for like a month and a half. So I wouldn't necessarily go back there.
Was the people cool or like?
The people was cool,
racist?
Man. But I mean, I did have a racist experience. Somebody called me the N-word there.
For what?
Man, because we wouldn't watch, bro, it sounds stupid, but we wouldn't watch a football game with them. Like we was leaving the stadium, the soccer stadium. We was leaving a football stadium and we were walking around. And they was like, what's up? Like a group of 30 people on one little bitty ass TV watching. And they was like, come over here and watch with us. Come over here and watch. And we was like, nah, we about to slide somewhere else. Shout out to my boy Wes. We about to slide somewhere else. And then they was like, all right then. Like they was on some shit like, all right, fuck y'all then. And we was like, all right, whatever, man. We not finna, y'all 30 deep. Y'all beat our ass for real. You know what I'm saying? So we just kept walking. And then they were just saying every slur that came out. Like they was like, bitch, nigga. And then we turned around, we was like, what? And then they was like, yeah. And I was like, all right, y'all got it this time because it's y'all 30 deep. Like, y'all, we ain't dumb. Yeah, that was the only racist thing that really happened, like, ever in my travels for real. And it was just like, they wasn't, like, that animosity don't really, if somebody calls me the N-word, it don't really hit the same unless they like a white American for some reason. Like you niggas is, no disrespect, you niggas is poor. Like y'all more of a nigga than we are, dog. Like y'all watching a big back TV and with 30 people plus. But I've met, I say that, but I've met so many, I still have so many Argentinian friends who I met along the way from there that show love. And they like, bro, I hate that happened. Like, that ain't us. And I'm like, man, it's some of y'all, just not all of y'all.
Man, you couldn't pay me to go to Argentina. That's why you ain't gonna see me celebrating. I don't give a fuck how many goals they get. I am not. Yeah, fire bun Argentina till they get their shit together. Let's get back to the States. There's a lot of shit going on in the States. Let's check on Carmelo, man.
Carmelo's new defense team is on their job, baby. Because now the full clip and clear footage of what happened in those stands is out. And Hunter, you told a little fib, didn't you? Turns out, Hunter is the one that walked right up to Carmelo Anthony. But directly after the incident happened, Hunter went on the news and he said that they sat down and Carmelo was yelling things at them. That never happened. And we know it didn't happen because we have video footage that it never happened. We have video footage of Hunter walking directly up to Carmelo, not Austin, which completely contradicts what Hunter said on the news. This is why they never called Hunter to the stand. And that defense lawyer screwed over Carmelo Anthony. There's no doubt in my mind that all of them are in on this shit together. And they railroaded Carmelo. And that is the reason why they never let Hunter get on the stand. But that new team, baby, oh, they're not playing. And Hunter, you're going to go to jail. Hunter's going to go to jail. And that is exactly what should have happened in the first place.
Go get Hunter. Go get Hunter Biden and Hunter Metcalf. God damn it. All of these fucking hunters need to get locked up. Get his ass.
Story of the fat orange monster and the pool of sorrows. Once upon a time, in a far-off land, the fat orange monster was having a very, very, very bad day. The monster had kinda sorta utterly destroyed most of the kingdom. He taxed everyone into poverty. He was constantly being hounded about the evil shit he did with Jeff the Wizard. And then he went to war so he'd look all big and tough, but then he lost, and he looked like a fucking dumbass loser, which he was. Nothing could go right for the monster. And so he had an idea. "That's it," he exclaimed. "I'll paint that pool out there. Everyone loves a pool. They'll all come and look at it and be like, that monster, he sure isn't a fucking dumbass." But the monster was a dumbass. A massive dumbass. And like the massive dumbass he was, he fucked it all up. The pool leaked, and plants started growing in it, and the people kind of chuckled. Like it wasn't that big of a deal. It was what we expected at this point. But the monster was so angry, he screamed, "Bleach the pool! Kill all those fucking plants and poison the ducks and geese or whatever!" But the pool bleaching just made the cheap paint come loose and float to the top, which was a really weird sight to see. And the people, curious, went to go look at it. And the monster, being a dumbass fat lardy baby, cried, "Vandals, you've defaced my pool!" Because the dumbass fat lardy baby monster couldn't comprehend that he was the one who fucked up. And he couldn't just fix the problem and move on. Instead, he blamed a guy, just like some guy, who walked past it and looked in and said, "Huh, that's weird." And the monster screamed, "Him! Take him to the dungeons! Flay him! Flay him alive!" And the monster ordered his knights to guard the pool, which is a really important thing for them to be doing during a literal war. And the monster looked at his weird chemical paint swamp with dead floating birds in it and smiled to himself, and he said to no one in particular, "I'm doing such a great job." And the people looked back and sighed in disbelief. Only 943 more days to go.
Get in the fucking box, you weird loser!
It's your man's in them.
Instead, we focus on Alexis Wilkins, honeypot girlfriend of Dweeb Patel, and grifter. This focuses on lying to yourself, because one must immediately wonder how many different music artists had to say no for them to finally be like, all right, bring in Alexis. She's like, let me get things straight, because this is long overdue. I've been a country music artist for years now.
Maybe it's the time that you got a flat tire and your dad made you change yourself.
I done heard a lot of trash shit in my life. That shit ass though. I could tell AI even skipped that one. Like, oh, we can't learn nothing from her.
In the night that you learned you couldn't lie, 'cause she told you to go to hell.
Well, that is news to everybody, because you fucking suck. I've had a successful career in both music. And I was like, wait, whoa, throw the flag for you to play. Let's go look at successful. Verified by Spotify for 5,863 monthly listeners. And I'm guessing 5,850 of those is probably all hate listeners. Just like, man, I mean, I was one of them. But maybe I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she popping on YouTube. You don't even have 8,000 subscribers. But 132,000 views on the last music video. You can imagine. I'm guessing around 120,000 of those views was hate watches, me included. As a hater, I ain't new to some truth. I'm gonna do my research. I hate with ethics. Start scrolling the comments, and I mean, wow. People was moving, grooving, vibing, sliding into that comment section. That is for sure. Masad in the house, country, music sensation. I'm waiting for the sensational part. Dweeb Patel swearing in brought me here. Like I said, all hate watches. And I mean, I can't blame people. There's actual music artists with talent that deserve a shot. I mean, would they go to Freedom 250? Hopefully not. But like, you suck. And so you trying to look yourself in the mirror and lie to yourself, we don't even believe you, because you don't believe yourself. You're not no country music star. You a wannabe that's going through a lot of negativity. Let me know if we need to take your shoelaces and give you, a little bit of therapy, because this shit must be tough. And you gotta look at Dweeb Patel every day. And he's an alcoholic. I go to the gram because I'm like, let me just see, does she have any type of social media support? 100K. I'm guessing 75,000, maybe more, are all fake or botted account. I do respect you though for keeping the likes on, because that lets me do my hater investigation a little bit better. 291 likes in 19 hours on your announcement of singing at Freedom 250. That has to be one of the worst support systems I have ever seen in my entire life. I wouldn't even have to do all this hating if you could just be humble and be like, you know what? I appreciate you, Dweeb Patel, for giving me this spot on Freedom 250. But instead, you're acting like you're this country music artist that's been really grinding for years. Like, no. You bought a bunch of fake followers after you started dating Dweeb Patel, and we still don't know if you're a honeypot or not. This is Katie's a much better comparison for you. This is somebody you should be striving to be like, because, again, a nobody, but now as a podcast with all these famous people just because of bald bitch Stephen Miller. It's okay, but at least she doesn't know that either. She thinks like she's actually successful with like a group following. It's like, no.
Mm, mm. There's a narrative that's beginning to form, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to let you guys know, look out for it, because this narrative is being pushed by people who are being pushed out of hip hop. Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This narrative is coming from our distant cousins, right? Who are getting bombed on, who are getting exposed, who are getting called out, and now they're doing somewhat of a soft campaign to push back. You will begin to see this pick up over the summer.
The roots don't include Fat Joe. They do a Jimmy Fallon, they walk past Fat Joe. 50 years of hip hop where they in charge of it, they ignore Fat Joe. I'm sitting in there with the fly suit and the whole shit right there like me, and they throw every rapper on. I support the roots my whole life. I don't know why they don't pick me whenever they do some type of hip hop event. I never get picked. So I'm just saying, Quest, like, what's up? What I do to the roots?
My brothers, they don't call you?
No.
Why not? They should have
I checked Spotify this week. 3 out of the top 10 songs is Fat Joe on. You trying to act like my contributions? I'm never invited to nothing they're in control of. Never. I don't know if it's something we
I think
did.
it's a conversation. I don't think it's...
I got a platform and I'm using it. This is the #1 hip-hop platform, and I'm just saying, guys, I know this. We got to sit down and talk. I come to Philly. You know I'm from Philly. I'm really for Fifth and Allegheny. I'm really from Germantown. What's the matter? Oh, no?
This is how they live.
My escape from New York was always Philly. I would go over there, hang out with my brother, eat Philly, and sit on the stoop in the middle of the hood. You know the black cowboys? They ride the horses through the block? That's our block. I'm just telling you the truth. That's where I'm from.
Now, you got to understand Fat Joe to understand what's taking place. A lot of people look at Fat Joe. The new Fat Joe is not the old Fat Joe. Let's just start there. The new Fat Joe is, I don't know where he came from. I mean, it's people in New York are still kind of like scratching their heads like, where did this version of Joseph come from? This is not Fat Joe. Fat Joe was a little bit different than the Fat Joe that y'all are seeing. Joey Crack was I'm telling you, and y'all might not realize it, but Joey Crack was a pressure. Joseph Crack in New York City with the Terror Squad was mother effing pressure. Let's stop playing games. Okay? When he was fat. I don't know what this new version. He's mad nice. He's likable. You know, he's out there running around, capping and whatnot. But the old Fat Joe was a mother effing problem. Remember, black men in New York created the Bloods, nigga. That's how much pressure Puerto Ricans was putting on black people inside of Rikers Island. The black people went and created a West Coast gang, my nigga, to answer the Nietas and the Latin Kings inside of the jail systems in 1993, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That's where the Bloods were born because of the Germans. That's what we call Spanish dudes. The Germans was turning the F up on us. Okay? So the Bloods, the blood started inside of the prison system. It started in Rikers Island because of the but we back. Y'all all right? I don't know what happened. I was just talking, running my mouth, and my shit went bloop. Whole thing shut up. So yesterday I was gonna report this news as another WTF. But I wasn't able to do my show yesterday. There was a lot going on. But yeah, they did it again. They did it again. They did it again. Another child, another black kid, another melanated body. They did it again, y'all. So I'm just reporting the news. This is Wednesday. They did it again.
The black girl hanging from a tree. Now, Juliana, that was last month. Did you hear about it? She was only 16. This is Tanya. She was found the day before Juneteenth. There's not another story on it because, you know, it's covered up by the police. These guys. Remember Kyle Basinga or Trey Reed? Well, they called it a suicide, so probably not, right? When it comes to finding black women, it's just not worth the cops' time. And 40% of missing females, and still, the cops can never find them. You know what happens when they do? They just keep the KKK alive. And who's protecting who? It's kind of hard to tell when they form lines. Don't tell me that racism's getting better if they still look exactly alike. The FBI was in it. Everyone was in it if NASA was in it. And the problem is it's worse now that the media is complicit. There's one post online about Tanya, and she died at a public park. You don't know that Juliana died at a church. We don't know who the woman was hung at Walmart, but they spent more time on this tree than they spent ever trying to figure out who they are. 2 days ago, there was a baby that was shot to death at a Walmart. They don't protect you, they protect businesses and the spaces where customers leave their cars parked. Do you see the fucking pattern? Do you see the problem? They cover up the crime, or they kill them. It's how they solve them. 13% of women in America make up 50% of the missing persons. Call Miami police slave catchers. It's not going to be the first time that they heard this. R.I.P. to Tanya. You know, it's harder than ever to tell when there's fucking foul play because it just used to be always back when Americans thought it was great.
Yeah, they out here doing these rituals. You know what I mean? Daring black people to say something. Daring black people to do something. Daring black people to think something. It's just crazy. You know, it's real crazy. But hey, let's continue.
Night in Chico, California, an 18-year-old 3x5 car decided he wanted to pull off a Columbine-style shooting at a library. This is 18-year-old Bradley Scott Sayer. Bradley decided to go to Butte County Library around 5 o'clock p.m. and decided to open fire in that library with a shotgun. 18-year-old Bradley Scott Sayer unalived 2 people and sent 1 child to the hospital. Jacob Hall, 46, and a 74-year-old man who has not been identified just yet. The child was taken to Enloe Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police arrived on the scene within minutes and was able to take Bradley down. At this time, they say Bradley acted alone, and he was dressed like one of the Columbine kids. Imagine 2026, we still have 3x5 non-melanated naked mole rats going out there trying to shoot shit up to reenact something that should have never happened in the first place. We make this very clear. White America likes to talk about black on black crime so much to the point where they forget they had their own, like mass shootings. Y'all have a problem within your community when it comes to your young men. They not wrapped too tight. I hope they didn't take this one to Burger King.
That's a fact. As we talk more about, let's get into this thing with Boot. How many people saw the movie about the boosters from Boots Riley? I did not catch that movie as of yet. I do like the director, Boots Riley, because Boots Riley, he's always been, kicking over he's always been kicking over cans and whatnot, making noise and whatnot. One of the movies that I recommend the fam to go and check out is Sorry to Bother You, the movie called Sorry to Bother You. Boots Riley is also the artist who famously had an album cover with the towers going down that came out I believe, the day that the towers went down. Boots Riley had an album cover where he was in front of the towers as they were going down, and the album was released on 9/11. You know? So I like his mind. You know, he's one of those, he's woke. He's an Afro surrealist. So I'm gonna go and watch the Booster movie. Is the Young Miami song on the soundtrack? I don't know if it is or not, but I'm assuming it is because it's a Booster anthem. And then he came out with a movie called Boosters, right? Or whatever it's called. It's about boosters. And there's some backlash from Black women who don't want to necessarily watch that movie. I will watch the movie about the boosters before I will watch the movie about the Black girls that killed their father. Like, I'm just not trying to go watch that. I don't know. I'm being judgmental, but I don't know if that's something. I don't give a fuck how the story winds up being spun. From the trailer and what I saw, I'm like, hell to the nah. Like, what is this? What the hell is this? It could be a great movie. I could be wrong in my what is this? But from what I saw with the trailer, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, are you serious? I will go and watch the movie about the boosters before I would quote unquote watch that. Love my boost. Yeah. You know? So yeah, let's check out what's going on with Boots Riley and the Black women's.
Is currently attacking a Black woman activist named Keandria because she said she didn't want to watch his film. She made a video stating that she didn't feel like it was appropriate for her to watch a film that featured a storyline about shoplifting, given the activism that she is currently doing, reporting on cases that involve Black men and boys who have been killed over accusations of shoplifting. But he's saying that her comments amount to criticism of a film that she didn't watch, and then he goes on to discredit her civil rights. His response to her provoked people to harass her with sexist and racist slurs and death. As a longtime fan, as somebody who's seen and enjoyed the film, as a Black Jew as well, and an Oaklander, that's bootsy-ass behavior. It is bootsy-ass behavior to attack and discredit a Black woman who is doing the kind of work that your films claim to value. She is documenting the real-life consequences of the systems your art is critiquing. And your response is dogpiling and misogyny. That's not movement work. That's not systems critique. That's not even a critique of what she actually said. That's butthurt bullshit. If a movement-oriented response was actually important to you, you might have recognized that context. You might have got more curious and asked why somebody might have that reaction. But your ego-driven response said, you're not consuming my art correctly. And that's weird to me, because was that not quite literally a theme in I Love Boosters? How people don't want to be made into art. They want to be the artist themselves. They don't want to experience change through art. They want to have the agency to make the change. Like you said, in your own film, people want to participate in shaping the world. And that's exactly what this woman is doing. She's not waiting for political education through a movie. She's documenting real cases. She's doing advocacy work. She's showing up for community. She's engaging with the material conditions that your art is supposedly about. So what's the real problem about her not wanting to watch your film? Why is her work in real life being positioned as less valuable than participation in your audience? You only got 3 milli, bro, but you're out here acting like that billionaire vigilante from I'm a Virgin. You're actively playing into the systems that you're critiquing. Who gives a fuck if somebody doesn't understand your systemic critique? The real problem is the systemic murder of Black youth in the very situations that your fabled surrealist boosters come from. Not that somebody doesn't want to watch your film because it triggers them. If even you are unable to uphold the standards and themes within your own films, systems critique over individual critique, community over individualism, collective struggle over ego, then what exactly are we supposed to be learning from you? It's giving out of touch pontification. Because if someone says, this isn't for me, or I don't want to watch this, Suddenly, the radical movement politics disappear. What the fuck is that? You need to check how you're moving and do better.
Yikes. When they read, boy, they read. Okay, let's check this other one out. Let's get into the culture vultures real quick, and then we're going to go down to Clive. We're going to go down to Clive wormhole.
Question: why would a music legend and a Buddhist partner with and narrate a gambling ad? Because for the last 5 years, Rick Rubin has been transforming into the worst type of grifter, a religious one. So we first saw the real Rick Rubin 5 years ago with his Supreme T. Because he's positioned himself as this spiritual figure, it almost comes off of a parody because there's no way he would actually do this, right? But no, that wasn't a one-off because 2 years later he launched his podcast and oh boy, he has some characters on there. We got Peter Thiel, Woody Allen, Adam Newman, the WeWork scammer, conspiracy theorist MIA, notorious far-right war dog tech bro Palmer Luckey, Ari Emanuel, you know the guy behind TKO Holdings? You know, this guy. Rick Rubin is now deeply embedded with tech bros. He had on Gary Tan of Y Combinator, the same Gary Tan who tweeted this at San Francisco elected officials. It was a joke, but the police didn't think it was funny. He went on the Andreessen Horowitz podcast to talk about vibe coding. He was promoting his book released last year about vibe coding. That was a collaboration with Anthropic. He is now positioning AI as some kind of spiritual thing.
And it's a book about vibe coding by way of a 3,000-year-old spiritual text called the Tao Te Ching, written by Lao Tzu.
Great question. I do, but clearly Rick Rubin only cares about tech bro capitalism. Because he's reportedly worth $300 million. He did this because he wanted to, not because he had to.
So Rick Rubin also is doing a documentary with Jay-Z. That's one of Jay-Z's big homies. He replaced Dame Dash, I guess, in the big homie category. But yeah, Rick Rubin is out here cosplaying some type of fucking guru, and I'm not here for it either. You know what I mean? It's giving pure Epstein vibes when I see that man.
Black-owned newsstands were everywhere, and they weren't just places to buy magazines. They were information hubs, places where you could find jobs, business opportunities, community news, and political conversations. If you wanted information, there was usually somebody local controlling how that information moved through the neighborhood. Today, the newsstand is gone, and the algorithm took its place. Every post you make, every video you watch, every comment you leave, every song you stream creates data. Your age, your location, your spending habits, your politics, your fears, your desires. And that information is worth billions. The difference is that unlike the old newsstand owner, you don't know who controls the algorithm. Which brings me to Rockefeller, because every week I see another conversation about Jay-Z, Dame Dash, Beanie Siegel, or Memphis Bleak. Who owes who money? Who betrayed who? Who's telling the truth? Who's lying? Who's wearing a wig? And maybe some of those conversations matter, but I'm looking at something bigger. How did one of the most influential black institutions in modern American history become reduced to internet gossip? Because Rockefeller wasn't just a label, it was an economic engine. It produced artists, businesses, brands, movies, fashion, culture, and yet here we are decades later arguing over personal disputes instead of discussing what the institution actually built. Black culture has become one of the most profitable exports on earth. Hip-hop generates billions. Athletes generate billions. Streaming generates billions. Social media generates billions. Black influence touches almost every major entertainment platform on the planet. But who owns the infrastructure? Not the culture. The infrastructure, the servers, the platforms, the streaming services, the cloud networks, the data centers, the algorithms, the pipelines that make all of this possible. Sometimes I feel like I can see 30 to 40 years in the future. And what scares me isn't whether somebody owns their masters. It's whether we own anything at all. Because every generation before us fought over land, the factories, the banks, the media. And now, the battlefield is data. The people who own data own attention. The people who own attention shape culture. And the people who shape culture ultimately shape power. Imagine if the conversation wasn't about who bought the newest chain or who owns the biggest mansion. Imagine if entertainers pooled resources to build digital infrastructure, data centers, streaming platforms, cloud services, social networks, technology enterprises, assets that generate wealth long after the spotlight disappears. Because culture without ownership eventually becomes exploitation, and influence without infrastructure eventually becomes dependency. The question isn't whether black culture is valuable. The question is, if black culture generates billions of dollars every year, why are we fighting over royalties while somebody else owns the machine? Because the next civil rights movement may not be about where we sit. It may be about who owns the servers.
Yeah, we need a panel on that one right there. We need a whole entire panel. That was a very, very good piece that the young man put together. And I'll continue that build. You know what I mean? Now, as we talk about who owns things, let's talk about who made it possible that niggas don't ever own anything, right? Because once again, for a group of people to collectively touch $1 trillion, they don't own nothing. There's no ownership anywhere. You can't point to anybody owning anything. And like that young man just pointed out, fuck your chain in your house. The real ownership is in the data. The real ownership is in the foundation. Preem, platforms rule everything around me. Preem, platforms rule everything around me. Preem, nigga, not cream. Preem. Preem. Nobody got a platform. Let's stop it.
P. Diddy. Diddy.
Puppy. The status of puppy.
What do you make of that situation? All right. No comment from Clive Davis on P. Diddy. Mr. Davis, you're a major influence on the career of P. Diddy. Have you spoken to him since the federal raid? Have you spoken to Sean Combs? Any comment, Mr. Davis? Any comments about Diddy? He credits you as one of his mentors.
Certain clips you gotta watch while smoking the Clive pack, y'all. Certain clips you're gonna have to smoke while certain clips. Hold on, Jaguar. Come on in.
Worst celebrity like that you've been around is like the most full of sin. I know no sin is greater, but like just was like, damn, this
Clive Davis. Devil incarnate. Clive Davis. He Janis Joplin. He blackmailed Betty Wright so she wouldn't tell anybody that he Janis Joplin. He killed Whitney Houston.
Go down a rabbit hole.
1985 meeting in Beverly Hills in the home of Clyde Davis, who was responsible for the murder of Whitney Houston. I said it. His days are numbered. And there were rappers there from all over the country. They were invited to the home of Clyde Davis, along with members of the CIA, FBI, which they didn't understand why the government was there, including many directors and CEOs of the private prisons throughout the United States was at that meeting in the mansion of Clyde Davis. And they were telling these rappers, you need to create songs talking about killing police, calling black women bees and hoes. You need to get more nasty so we can fill our prisons that we're building. Okay.
You know what's crazy during that time? I can recall when that gangster music came into play.
That's it.
And how they, I don't know if they
his party.
Yes.
It was a surreal event where Whitney's body was still in the hotel, and there was this sort of party where apparently half the room were in tears, the other half were kind of partying. What did you feel about that?
I thought that was complete insanity. I don't know what could motivate a person to have a party in a building where the person whose life he had influenced so enormously and whose life had been affected by her. So they were like, I don't understand how that party
I had Clive Davis by pure chance in here on Friday night with Jennifer Hudson. and he obviously worshipped Whitney, and I think he must have gone through agony when he heard this news, knowing it was 2 or 3 hours till this event.
Right.
And I think he took the decision to turn it into a tribute to her. And I understand that. I mean, he obviously was wrestling with the right thing to do.
That would have been right if it would really
party go on. Of course, this is a personal thing, but the Grammys for the next night, you don't cancel. You turn an evening into a tribute. You did a magnificent evening into... Did you give a thought to canceling? Never. You never thought? Never. Did you ever think... I know the family did not want me to give a thought. Didn't? To cancel. No, no.
No, Whitney, I don't believe that she would have said, the show must go on. She was the kind of woman that would say, stop everything. I'm not going to be there. You know. I don't know what could motivate a person to have a party in a building where the person whose life he had influenced so enormously and whose life had been affected by her. So they were like...
Party go on. Of course, this is a personal thing, but the Grammys for the next night, you don't cancel.
Glory in nobody's death. Okay, I don't glory in death. Now, I don't glory in nobody's death. Okay, I don't glory in death. I don't glory in nobody's demise. That's just not the way my heart is set up. However, I have so much to say. Oh my goodness. First of all, this death is symbolic. I'm going to say Babylon is falling, and those who get it. Those who are going to understand what I'm saying, my perspective, you're going to totally get. Babylon is falling. Do we realize that Clive Davis was a J person? Kanye told us. Nick Cannon told us. The basketball player, I forgot his name, the little NBA, he told us too. And when they told us, they were deemed as hate speech. The music mo.
I've been reading the Phyllis Hyman autobiography. Clive Davis died today, and we rejoice. If I believed in hell, he would be there with gasoline fucking draws on. For what he did to Phyllis, for what he did to Whitney, and what I'm sure he's done to so many more. Angela Bofield. Evil live a long time, y'all. I know, you're gonna... What I tell y'all, evil people live to be very old. 94. I never forgive y'all for acting like him having that party while Whitney Houston's body was not even transported out of that hotel. I will never forgive any of the celebrities who went in that motherfucker who acted like that was normal. You're gonna exploit her in life and death. Good riddance. Rest in piss.
Clive Davis has passed away at the age of 94. I woke up shocked this morning because this man has single-handedly outlived majority of the artists he was connected to. And listen, I know that there are some people who are probably in his family or X, Y, and Z that are very, very sad. But what I am saying is I need a documentary. I need a documentary of the artists that he was connected to that seemingly had a weird passing that happened. A lot of people don't like Clive Davis for the mere fact of when Whitney Houston passed away, he continued with his pre-Grammy party saying the show must go on, and they hadn't even removed Whitney Houston's body from upstairs. There are some people who don't like him because of what happened to Janis Joplin, Phyllis Hyman, all these artists that we've heard out throughout history. And I'll say this, okay? When they came for Diddy, a lot of us, including myself, was like,
to never be afraid, because I was so terrorized by him. Whether he meant to do it or not, I'll never know. But
He sure taught me that if you try to terrorize me again, well, we can't say that on public radio. What I may do to someone who tries to hurt me again in this business, I'm not having it. I should be respected as I respect, and I will not have someone try to ruin my spirit and ruin my career. If
That's Phyllis Hyman talking. The legend Phyllis Hyman, the songbird Phyllis Hyman. You know, I believe she went out of a window, right? We're talking about a mobster right here of the highest order, right? Who will get you whacked. And that when they talk about the pink mafia in the music industry, when they talk about the rainbow mafia, he's one of them. Okay. When they talk about Murder Inc. and all of that, he's a part of that, you know? OD. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's these people's calling card. They'll have you looking like you had an OD, you know, leave a needle on the ground and whatnot, have you real jacked up. But yeah, rest in peace. You know what I'm talking about? He had to go. I feel like he got something to do with those earthquakes. How about that? How about that his demonic entity went into the ring of fire, you know, and caused them damn earthquakes and took a whole bunch of people with him. You know, that's not far-fetched. You know what I'm talking about? That ain't far-fetched either. You know, go do the research on that. Go do the Googles on that. When demonic, devilish people like the Hitlers of the world, if there was any earthquakes that followed them, you know, mostly earthquakes, not tornadoes, earthquakes, because Marcus Garvey said, look for me in the whirlwind. He's the earthquakes. The ancestors are the tornadoes. The ancestors are the whirlwinds. The ancestors are the quote unquote sandstorms. The devil is in the earthquake. Okay. The cracking of the earth, the opening up of the caverns and whatnot. So yeah. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I do have to remind you all that me and Blue Pill are going to be in the building this Sunday doing our damn thing and whatnot. The Fear of a Black and More Messiah 44 featuring the Twin Pillars. All right. This one is going to be on the anniversary of our Stone Mountain, Crystal Mountain. Last year, we did the Crystal Mountain. We did Stone Mountain. It brought out a whole lot of people and whatnot. That was June the 28th. So 1 year later, we'll be doing a 10-year anniversary of the Fear of a Blackamoor 44. All right. If you heard Blue Pill on Brother Richard's show, you already know he got his clips loaded up. He also did something for Michael Jackson earlier today. And he's going to be bringing it only the way that the law of 44, Mr. Blue Pill, could bring it. The QR code is right here on the page. You can scan the code and you'll be able to get access to the tickets. They are very affordable. And yeah, we look forward to see you online only though. This is not a live lecture. This will be an online lecture, Zoom, Sunday, June the 28th, the hours, 7 p.m. All right, until. So I look forward to seeing y'all. We will be in the building, and yeah, it's going to be, like I said, the answer. I knew there was a reason why we were holding on to this lecture. They handed us Clive Davis on a platter, and that is a great way for me to culminate a 10-year run. You know what I mean? We had a 10-year run. This is a culmination of 10 years of research and whatnot, but not just research. This is bigger than research. This is something different than research. This is a living, breathing testament. We're not just doing research. We're breaking down shit and decoding things and making it happen. You feel me? We're creating something. This is a creation myth, right? Speaking things into existence, demystifying one thing and mystifying something else. Like, this is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful time to be aligned. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to seeing y'all in the building. You could leave anything over $30 will count as your ticket only tonight. Anything over 30 will count as a ticket. going into Sunday's event, all you have to do is leave your email. Okay, leave your email, and you'll get your access. All right. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bid you guys farewell for the night. Y'all stay dangerous. Y'all stay, stay on point, stay on swivel, and definitely put that loud pack in the air. Enjoy every single moment of it. You dig? With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, peace, love, and light. 1000.
Can't beat us, join us, please bring your coinage. We sink 3-pointers, money shots, all net, all vets. Bums we not, jet skiing in them sunny spots. With women edible like gummy drops. Dummy stop, dummy stop. No weapon form can intercept the storm. Once my intellect is on, I'm projecting on magnetic fields. And interact with blacks with athletic bills. I'm all about growth and development like residents of Ebbets Fields. Not to choose between woo and chew. We wanna line them colors up like a Rubik's Cube. And fade to black, yeah, the truest hue. When you say the black man is God, who you alluded to? The usual, Clarence 13X, a worthy guest. The words expressed come from the word in flesh. Elijah M, the NOI versus Leviathan. Messiah sent from the heavenly branches. 7 P's from since G-Dub cut down the cherry tree. In the wilderness of North Amex, and we flossing death and forced aggression, or forced perception, forced protection, or forced confessions. It's all a lesson.
The sorcerers from Corsica, killer tonics, sticks and drums like the Philharmonic Orchestra. You niggas still playing harmonicas from officers, fabric softener. Jive turkeys popping 5 perkies, playing with keys, the Scotch Storage type. For that soft right, we could've caught life, just being forthright. First class on my 4th flight, popping out like Fortnite. Every night we lit like Porsche lights. The meek shall inherit the earth, oh yeah, the scorched type. And these niggas, they some hoes in these streets. Me, I'm 10 toes in these streets. They lost their souls, niggas got holes in their feet. Shit, I'm just worried about the craft and how to perfect it. Not worried about the craft, yeah, that's out of perspectives. Focus on the chip like I'm Robert Kraft, and then how to protect it. It's the waves of the oceans. Get to the money, nigga, save your emotion. Descendant of the slaves in the graves in the oceans. Mastermind that the waves is in motions. These niggas, they addicted to the folly, addicted to that molly. Making me a movie, them sticks made of holly. I'm Dr. Manhattan, sitting on top of Manhattan. When I get all 5 rings, snap my fingers and pop up on satin. Dressed in all black, yeah, drop top the Phantom. Bless.
Crumb TV.